With a potential price tag of more than $50 million, Georgia's 6th District special election is on track to be the most expensive House race ever. Polls closed Tuesday night, and that is when we will find out if that money was worth it for Democrat Jon Ossoff or Republican Karen Handel. Shelby Holliday is a senior video reporter for the Wall Street Journal and has been reporting from Georgia over the last several days. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, so this is an expensive race.
Yes.
It's been very interesting. The president's been tweeting about it like crazy. There have been other special elections since President Trump's win. What is it about this race that is so intriguing?
Well, Democrats are looking to this race to give them a much-needed win. They've poured a ton of money into this candidate. He's a 30-year-old political novice, Jon Ossoff. He's worked on the Hill, but he's never held elected office. So it's a big gamble in one sense. He's also a filmmaker. He calls himself a journalist. But nobody really knows, what he's all about politically. So they do know that he is very inspiring. He's energized a lot of young people. If you talk to people on the ground, one guy told me he is a political rock star. They like his message. They like his style. They just don't know if he can govern. On the other hand, the Republicans need this win because it would show that they can defend their home turf, even though millions of dollars are pouring in to oppose them. It would also be a vote of confidence for Donald Trump, and I think that's the most important thing when you're on the ground. Even the people there will tell you this isn't really about local issues. This is all about what's going on in Washington, whether or not people are happy with it. And there were quite a few Republican moderates I talked to who are voting for Jon Ossoff, the Democrat, because they like his moderate message. They also are just not happy with what they're seeing out of President Trump and Republicans in Congress. And they think it would send a signal. They want to use their vote to sort of send a message to Washington. It
looked like over the last couple of days, last week, that the White House was, in fact, not happy with the way Karen Handel was running her candidacy. How closely has she aligned herself with President Trump? Because that is going to be the question going forward, right? Which is how closely some Republicans in areas and states that are under fire will align themselves with the president, or sort of say, look, I'm my own individual person and not tied to what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. And this is tricky for her because this is a very educated district, but it's also historically red. It should give her the advantage. But Donald Trump is not so popular in these educated Republican districts. So she is towing a very fine line. I asked her what it means to have a president who has a very enthusiastic base, but outside of that base, very low favorability numbers. And she kind of punted the answer, but she said, I'm my own person. I have experience dealing with a cast of characters from my previous jobs. I can get the job done. But when you go around and you watch her campaign, she's signing Make America Great Again hats. People are asking her to align herself with Donald Trump. They want to make sure she's on point with all of the policies he wants to push through. So she is a traditional Republican, but she's having to be careful about praising or distancing herself from the president. It's putting her in a tough spot.
What about Ossoff? I mean, is it going to be enough simply to run against the president? You mentioned that he's appealed to some moderates. It can't just be about, look, the president is tweeting, the president is, it can't just be about that.
No, and he actually started his campaign with a pretty anti-Trump message, and he's abandoned that. He now is running more as a fiscal moderate. He's using a lot of terms you would typically hear Republicans say. I want to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. I've identified billions of dollars of wasteful spending I want to cut. He talks about lowering taxes for small businesses. So this is driving Republicans nuts that he's using their words to beat them in their own backyard. But I asked him about that. I said, are you sincere when you say these things? And he said, yes, fiscal responsibility should not be a partisan term. We should all work towards being more responsible with our money, with taxpayer dollars. Again, they try to tie him to Nancy Pelosi. He has donations from very liberal groups, so they're trying to say he's not so genuine when he's making these comments. But he's 30 years old. He's never held office, so it's hard to say. And I think that is what could give him the win, because he has taken a more moderate platform. He's not running as a Bernie Sanders. He's running as a moderate.
Well, there's someone else who has never held political office. He is the president of the United States. So, it works at all levels. And the president has been tweeting in support of Handel this week. Is that helping or hurting?
Well, I think it helps to have the president behind you. But what's more important is Mike Pence went out there and campaigned with her. Paul Ryan went out there and campaigned. We saw Tom Price, the seat she's hoping to take. Tom Price had this seat before he became Health and Human Services Secretary. So these kind of political rock stars in this district will help way more. And we visited a lot of voters. The voters in Georgia are extremely nice. They let you in, they give you a drink, they love to talk. So we visited a voter who had attended a lunch with Mike Pence, and she said he will help Karen handle more than anyone else possibly could. Very popular down there, conservative, polite, brings a nice message. So I think that those are the kinds of things that will help more than the president tweeting.
And that's
but the
probably
president tweeting might not hurt.
Right, and that's probably why they sent them down there, the vice president and others. And speaking of the president, he went to Camp David for the first time this weekend, and he is starting the week like he has the past couple of weeks with a theme. This week's theme is Technology Week. So what should we be looking out for as we look to the president's schedule?
Well, he just did a roundtable with tech executives. I thought that was really interesting because this whole day was supposed to be about improving the government by using technology. But tech leaders took this as an opportunity to tell the president what they want to see. Tim Cook, for example, said, we need to teach kids coding in our schools. Tim Cook also said, you need to be accountable to the citizens of this country. It may have been a read between the lines moment there, but he wasn't holding back on criticizing the president. You also heard one of these executives say, we want to unlock data from the government. So the government has this huge trove of healthcare data, for example, and if you just unlock it and make it accessible to entrepreneurs, we can make the healthcare system so much more efficient, so much more well-run. You know, obviously there are privacy concerns, but these are the tech leaders. They're there. They see some money at stake. There's a lot in it for them, and they're there. They have the president's ear. They showed up to the table. Notably, not at the table, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook and Elon Musk, who runs Tesla and actually dropped out of this, council
a couple of
over
CEOs have sort of distancing
yes.
themselves over the last couple of weeks.
Trump and tech have a very interesting relationship. They have issues with visas, for example. A lot of tech leaders spoke out about the pulling out of the Paris Climate Accords. They didn't like the Muslim ban. But, you know, there they are at the table talking to Donald Trump. So I thought that was interesting to see them all showing up.
We'll see if anything comes out of it. As always, Shelby Holliday, it's good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.